Next, we're going to talk about the elusive access to capital, the funding that it takes to get that idea and turn it into a business. Too many times, entrepreneurs are faced with this next step, and what is awesome is that more and more options are becoming available. It wasn't too long ago. The Great Recession has left an imprint on all of us. It tightened up credit standards, it made borrowing that much more difficult, and on how many ideas didn't get funded and didn't get off the ground that could have changed the way we do things. Financing is nestled right in between that bright idea and actually opening the doors. It's the part, whether it's your own money or borrowed, that allows you to take that idea and put it in front of your customers. Too often, though, entrepreneurs don't understand what it takes to get financing. They don't know what options are out there. And so rather than dive further into it or get rejected over and over, they simply don't know where to look. So we're going to go over several different options here quickly. And I want you to really think through them and see if these could be some options for entrepreneurs you work with or those in your community. The first option is bootstrapping. This is by far the most widely used option, and it refers to the idea that the entrepreneur uses their own funds to get the business going and to ultimately sustain the business. This could be credit cards, this could be savings, this could be loans from mom and dad, aunt and uncle, something in the family, something close. More importantly, though, this allows the entrepreneur to not have the initial cost of high debt and allows them to better expand their product when needed. The next option is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is the idea that of getting a small amount from a lot of people to fund one objective. The most popular is Kickstarter. Kickstarter built a platform that allows you to post a product or a cause or a business concept that allows other people to fund it. They do not exchange the money for repayment. It is instead given as a gift in exchange for a reward of some kind. For instance, if I was starting a coffee shop, I could then give free coffee for the amount given by the participants. It's a great way to raise money and allows you to move forward without that costly debt financing. I know you're thinking to yourself, why would somebody give money for free when all they get in return is that simple cup of coffee they could have gone and bought themselves? Well, the reality is that Kickstarter has done over 1.7 billion with a B dollars worth of funding so far of over 85,000 projects. This new wave of people getting re-engaged in investing is starting to sweep and ultimately will be a prevalent source of financing for most businesses. Kickstarter has its own criteria. Indiegogo is a very similar as well. They just have a separate criteria. We don't have the time to dive deeper into those right now, but it's worth taking a look, and GoFundMe is starting to get momentum as well. The next option, and I think the wave of the future, is peer-to-peer lending. This is that same concept as Kickstarter and Indiegogo, in that you are seeking funds from a large number of people and they can give in smaller amounts. The difference with this is that instead of getting a reward in return, you actually get an interest rate in return. So a person with $10,000, instead of having it sit in his bank account collecting 0.00001% interest, they can now invest and get a much more modest 6 to 8% return while helping that local business. The two examples here, Prosper and Lending Club, are online platforms. And just to give you kind of an idea of the scale of what these two companies are already doing in their short life, is Lending Club has done over $9.2 billion in loans. Prosper has done over $3 billion to over 250,000 people. Let me restate those numbers again. Lending Club has done over $9.2 billion in peer-to-peer loans. The process for both of these is very similar. You apply for the amount of money that you need. and then you are given up to 10 days to have it fully funded. People can fund it in as small amounts as $50 all the way up to the entire amount you're asking for. These investors are then given a modest return on their investment, and you then get the funding. It's quick, the money's deposited within that 2 week timeline, and then it's paid back over a negotiated term. Lending Club and Prosper have taken the guesswork out of it for investors. They assign a proprietary algorithm to you as a borrower based on your credit, your source of income, and then give you a grade. That grade then helps determine your rate, and the more risky, the higher the rate. So this has been a win-win for both borrowers and investors, and Lending Club continues to grow, and more lending is starting to take place this way. For instance, Lending Club has now opened up a business lending part where they'll do up to $250,000. Again, still testing the waters in that part, but provides a viable option. Right now, for both Prosper and Lending Club, a individual or potential entrepreneur can borrow up to $35,000. Unsecured, no recourse. It's a great way to do it. The hybrid between your Kickstarters and your lending club is the no interest peer to peer lending, which is spearheaded by Kiva. Similar idea here is that we have an entrepreneur who usually needs a smaller amount, up to $10,000, and investors, lenders, individuals, participants, residents, etc., all can invest in that company. They fund the loan. The difference with this one, though, is that it is 0% interest. So I, as an investor, lend the money to the entrepreneur, and in return, I get paid back, but at 0% interest. This is specifically designed to foster economic growth in communities. It was started when the founder was in Africa traveling abroad and was able to give a local goat farmer $100. She then took that $100 and bought another goat. Well, what the founder realized was that the significant impact of $100 on the life of that farmer was exponential compared to the $100. And she thought, if this could work, I think I could really build this system. So she was able to go back to the States, find a few more investors, and started these $100 micro loans, and ultimately started Kiva. The domestic version of Kiva is called Kiva Zip and can be picked up by multiple lenders and is done throughout the United States. For more information, another option for businesses that are more established is going to online platforms such as Cabbage.com or On Deck. These take a look at your financials and are able to provide quick decisions and money as soon as that same day, up to $200,000. This can be a great short-term bridge financing for a lot of farmers, seasonal type businesses, those businesses that just need that injection of working capital to keep going. Now, I definitely don't want to ignore the other fixtures in the community. A great option for many businesses is credit unions. They're more personal, they're local, they understand your needs, and they have a little more flexibility when trying to decide how much and if, and all the factors that go into deciding if the entrepreneur gets money. Of course, we can't be anywhere without the traditional bank lending. What we found, though, is that a lot of traditional bank lending like to see existing businesses with some substantial size as opposed to the startups. So startups have a better shot of developing that relationship with the credit unions or through peer-to-peer lending to kind of build that infrastructure. And then the next step would be to go and approach the banks and really develop a relationship so that when you need that additional funding or the expansion or that next step, it can be available to you. The reality is that when you go to the banks, a lot of them will funnel you through these SBA loan products, the Small Business Administration. These are guaranteed loans through the Small Business Administration that up to a certain percentage that take a little bit of the risk off the banks. Just to kind of give you an idea how widely used this program is, in 2014 alone, the SBA reported $19.2 $2.19 billion in loans to over 52,000 businesses in 2014 alone. So this is definitely a substantial portion of the business lending environment that is going on now. Lion is the local investment opportunity network. What they did was take that peer-to-peer idea and make it much more local. They realized the power of the relationship and have now found a way to connect residents who want to invest with businesses who need it in the community. I won't go into all the reasons why this is a loophole in the SEC regulations, but it's been a great opportunity with this underlying indirect effect of allowing for mentors. And what you're finding is that the investors are starting to help mentor the businesses. And so you don't just get the financing, you get the marketing from the investor, the support, and it's had a great ripple effect throughout the community. Another option that has become popular as of late is the idea of angel funding. The concept is, and the visual of an angel coming in and saving that business in need. This funding is utilized through debt and equity financing and assists businesses usually with a larger scale of 250,000 or more, or some kind of equity position where the company can be sold off. This can be a great option for those high growth entrepreneurs in your area, and many urban areas have. Another great option is venture capital. Think of the Silicon Valley boom or all those tech startups that got funding. This is a very complicated and in-depth form of financing, but for the right businesses, a venture capital can prove to not only help with the financing, but be a strategic partner in growing the business. Very similar Shark Tank, for those of you who have seen that, they use a lot of that injection of capital with also assisting in the growing of the business. So there you have it. Here are some ideas that you can bring home and provide to your entrepreneurs, and just to get them going, get them funded, and get that business running to build Main Street. Now it's your turn.